Queen Elizabeth's tour of Australia.
Yes, Chris, tens of thousands of people have greeted the Queen as she visited Brisbane, the city hit by floods earlier this year. And she met some of the people who had been forced to leave their homes when the Brisbane River burst its banks in January, leaving 30,000 homes underwater. Nicholas Witchell has more.
It was a gesture of solidarity with the city whose river had risen against it. The Queen was taken along the Brisbane River. On this spring day it was benign and welcoming, with tens of thousands lining its banks. But last January the Brisbane River had become a swollen torrent which swamped large sections of the city. It was described as Brisbane's darkest hour. Today in bright sunshine the Queen saw a city restored after floods which had been the worst for a generation. We're right in the heart of the city now, and just to give you an idea of how it was during the floods, the waters then were above the level where the spectators now are standing. Hard to imagine on a day such as this how it was in January, but there were plenty to share their stories. The Queen heard from some of those who'd lost their homes, and in a speech she praised the city's resilience.
I have seen the fortitude, ingenuity and determination of the people of Brisbane.
But it wasn't the words which meant the most, it was the fact that she'd wanted to come.
It means a lot to me, it really does. It's a person who's taken the time to come and see people who really suffer.
And it's wonderful of her to bother to do that and made a specific request that she came to Queensland.
What she brings is an unmatched presence, supported as ever by a husband who was cutting through security so that children could present their bouquets. The Queen and Australia, as attached as ever it seems. Nicholas Witchell, BBC News, Brisbane.
For more on the Queen's visit, I'm joined from Sydney by Professor David Flint from the National Convener of Australians for Constitutional Monarchy. Professor, thank you so much for joining us. How is the Queen's visit being received in Australia?
Well, it's being very well received. She is such a respected figure. Most Australians would have known no other monarch in their lifetime. And as I say, she is highly respected. She is above politics, beyond politics. When she appeared in the federal parliament for a reception, both the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition were on their best behaviour. The Prime Minister, although a Republican, emphasised the service which the Queen had rendered to the Commonwealth and to Australia, and how very much that was appreciated. You see, the Crown is our oldest institution. It's integral to our constitutional system. And Australians in 1999, notwithstanding a very well-funded, powerful campaign supported by many in the media and politics, Australians decided in every state, nationally and in every state, and 72% of electorates, that they wanted to stay with the constitutional monarchy.
It's been many years, Professor Flint, since the visit of the Queen to Australia. During that time, has the popularity of the constitutional monarchy increased or decreased?
Yes, we had a national conference, and one of the leading pollsters prepared a survey for us which showed that the trend lines for a politician's republic, as we prefer to call it, because we say we are a crowned republic, the trend lines are very much down. They're now in the low, or rather the mid-30s. And the worst thing for the Republican movement is that among the young and the new, they're even weaker. So there's no movement in Australia to change our constitutional system, nor will there be one in the near future. The monarchy is very popular. It's the one part of the constitutional system that works very well.
What do you make of Prime Minister Julia Gillard's suggestion that it's not the right time to be looking at whether Australia should become a republic?
Well, our politicians do regular, almost continuous polling and focus groups. And what those polls would be telling them, not only is it unpopular not to touch this issue with a barge pole, and it is absolutely ridiculous for the Republicans to think that the end of the reign is some sort of silver bullet. because at the end of the reign, there'll be an enormous retrospective worldwide on what will be known as the Second Elizabethan Age. And then there'll be interest and speculation and fascination about the coronation, the next Prince of Wales, and the children of the Prince of Wales. The monarchy is here.
All right.
It's an integral part of Australia.
Professor, sorry to interrupt. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us. Professor David Flint from the National Convener of Australians for Constitutional Monarchy. You've been watching Newsday from the BBC. I'm Rico Hizon in Singapore.
And I'm Chris Rogers in London, and we'll be back in 5 minutes with Asia Business Report.